Hey, hey, hey. I'm going to wait for more people to come in. Let's see if I also go live on Instagram, if that will work too. 3, 2, 1. I am now live. I am live on Instagram. I am live on YouTube. I have not gone live on Instagram in so long, just on Instagram itself. I don't even know how this works anymore and if people know I'm live. But ding dong, ding dong. I am going to quickly tell you the story of how I almost got detained by the Obama Secret Service. But I'm going to wait because people said that they want to hear this story. So I'm going to slowly wait until people start coming in to tell the story. Apparently, Instagram is telling people that I'm gone live. And then we shall see. People said they wanted to hear the story. Hey, hey. What's going on? I have not gone live on Instagram in so long. So if you're watching me on Instagram, I'm also live on YouTube. So I'm going back and forth between the screens. Although I do look fantastic in this Instagram light. I must say, what's going on, buddy? How are you? Thanks for joining. I'm going to be quick. This is a funny story. I'm glad I'm here. I wore my orange. My orange is a little different than the orange I would be wearing had I gotten into big trouble for what I did, but I figured I would wear orange today for my wonderful story. But again, how I almost got detained by the Obama's Secret Service because I'm a silly, silly girl. Actually, I need a prop for this. Let me go get my prop so you guys understand. Hold on. Hold on. Let me get my prop. Yep, I had to get my prop for my story because this book is important as to what happened. But what's going on? I am going to wait for a couple of more people to come in because people are saying, tell me the story, tell me the story. And I'm like, no, wait for the story. I want a lot of people. I'm not telling the story more than once because it is a ridiculous story. And my mother actually laughed. My mother thought this was the funniest thing and was convinced she was going to be famous had I got detained because she was going to be on CNN because it was so ridiculous what I decided to do. But here we are. And if you know me, you know that I am actually a bit of a ridiculous person. So anybody who knows me is not going to be surprised by me doing what I did. So I'm going to give it a couple more minutes and then I'm going to go into the story because if you guys don't know, I also have a Thursday night show that I do on my channel, Fuck Your Feelings, that you should definitely check out because I have very candid conversations about relationships. So if you're not watching me already on Fuck Your Feelings, go to YouTube and subscribe to Fuck Your Feelings, the show. Again, where I have candid conversations about relationship. So, you know what? I am actually not going to wait for people. I'm going to go ahead and start telling this story so that people can go off and enjoy their evening. And then maybe I'll post it for those who did join live. So give me a thumbs up if you are ready to hear my story. Once again, how I almost got detained by the Obama's Secret Service. Doom, 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 doom. Doom, 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 doom. Da, 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 Okay, now I'm being ridiculous. Okay, so here's the deal. I'm going to start with a backstory about this. So back in 2021, I published this book called No Handouts for Black Girls. This was basically during the height of COVID. And when I was writing the book, And when I wrote the book, myself and my editor, who's a really good friend of mine, said that one of the people I wanted to read this book one day was Auntie Michelle Obama. And so I put that in the back of my head that, you know what, I was going to try to figure out a way to get no handouts for Black girls in Auntie Michelle Obama's hands. Didn't know how I was going to do it, but it was going to get done. So now, fast forward to late 2025, early 2026, when my friends and I decide to plan a trip to Boston slash Martha's Vineyard. Well, Toshiba did some research, and I found out that Auntie Michelle and Uncle Barack have a house on Martha's Vineyard. So, as we're planning this expensive ass trip, if you have never been to Martha's Vineyard, I am telling you, if you want to go, put your pennies together because that shit is expensive as hell. However, I digress. And if you're from Canada, it's even more expensive because our dollar sucks. Anywho, so we start planning this trip, and I am convinced I am going to meet Auntie Michelle and Uncle Barack. And 2 weeks before we arrive in Martha's Vineyard, and just so you know, just to go back, this detainment that almost happened less than a week ago. I was in Martha's Vineyard from last Wednesday, the 12th to the 17th. And what happened with me almost being detained happened on the 15th. So this is very, very fresh, and I'm still very sensitive about this. Anyhow, so we find out that they are indeed spending the summer in their Martha's Vineyard home. So once I get to Martha's Vineyard, I am saying to myself, I am going to meet Auntie Michelle and Uncle Barack. Well, I do some research. And in my research, I find their address on Martha's Vineyard. It's just readily available to the public. And I found out where the house is. I found out how much they bought the house for. I found out what part of Martha's Vineyard the house is. And I say to my friends, I think we should just like roll up by Auntie Michelle and Uncle Barack's house because I'm silly. I'm like, listen, maybe it's like driving by Drake's house in Toronto. And if you're from Toronto, you know Drake lives in an area called Bridle Path, and you can basically drive by Drake's house at any time. Can you get in Drake's house? Absolutely not, but you can drive by. So I'm like, listen, I have Auntie Michelle and Uncle Barack's address. We can drive by. I can jump out the car, take a quick picture, and maybe there's like a Secret Service there. I can have a conversation with Secret Service, and I can give them, again, my book, No Handouts for Black Girl, and maybe Auntie Michelle and Uncle Barack are there, and they come out and say hello. Again, I'm a ridiculous, delusional person. But my friends, some of them, are just as ridiculous as I am, and they say, bet, we should go by Auntie Michelle and Uncle Barack's house because, again, the address is on the internet. So why not? Like, why would they put their address on the internet if they don't want people going by? So there are 8 of us, and we jump into 2 different cars. I will not say who I am in the car with because I want to protect the innocent who don't need to be part of the story. But basically, I'm in a car with 3 other people, and we start heading to the Obama's house on Martha's Vineyard. So we are driving, and we get to the street that you're supposed to turn to go see Auntie Michelle and Uncle Barack. Well, the thing about it is, what had happened was, before you turn on that street, there are a bunch of signs that basically tell you not to turn down that street. But you know what I decide to do? We say, bet. We are this close. We are super close. We'll turn down the street. Now, if you're a West Indian person or if you've ever been in a place, you know what it means when it's like hill and gully. The street is basic, it's not paved. It's like a one-way in, it's a bunch of trees. It's like hill and gully road. But we continue to proceed down the road. That says that we should not proceed down the road because I am this close to going to find Auntie Michelle and Uncle Barack. And we keep going down this road. And as we're going, there's a lovely white lady who's driving by, walking by actually as we drive by. And she waves to us and we wave back to her. And we keep going until we get stopped by Secret Service. So they say, stop the car. And they essentially start questioning us about how we got on the street. So again, I'm going to protect the others that are in the car, but one of my peoples that's in the car started explaining how we turned onto the private road where the Obamas live on Martha's Vineyard and why we were there. Now, as this is happening, I'm taking in the house. There is a bunch of cameras that are at the house. There is a Secret Service lady that is on the mic who's giving the description of us in the car. We then get blocked in, so we cannot leave. So our truck is now blocked in by like a white truck in the front and then another truck in the back. The Secret Service lady has us have the windows down. She walks around the entire car. She's saying how many occupants are in the car. There's whole conversations happening. They're asking us a bunch of questions. I can see the cameras moving. So I know that literally Secret Service is now assessing our entire face. They saw our irises. They saw what was in that car. Trust me, like there were probably snipers on the roof. So we are sitting in a car being questioned by the Obamas Secret Service at the gate about why we stupidly turned down a road on Martha's Vineyard that says that we shouldn't turn. So, but my girlfriend says, listen, my girlfriend loves Barack and Michelle. And we just thought, even though it's ill-advised, that we should just kind of drive by the house because why not? We went all the way from Martha's Vineyard from Toronto. Why not just try to drive by the Obama's house down the private road that says that we shouldn't turn on? Silly us, right? Very ill-advised. Now, this is like 10 minutes. You've got to understand, they're asking us questions. We're being described. Oh, let me also add, our phones don't work. So at this point, our phones are not working because they jammed the signal. So our phones are absolutely not working. There's no messages going out and there's no messages that can come in. Why do I know there's no messages that can come in? Because there was another car of 4 of us that were supposed to turn down the road. They did not turn down the road, but instead tried to call us. They said when they tried to call us, none of the calls to none of our phones were going through. And another person in the car said, well, the calls aren't going through because they got detained. Another person in that car said, absolutely not. They wouldn't get detained. They wouldn't drive down the road that says, no, don't drive down the road, private. The other person says, of course they would. Do you know those 2 people in the car? Of course they drive down the road because I was convinced I was going to go and meet Auntie Michelle and Uncle Barack. So as we are sitting in the car and people are silent, bodies are clenched, hearts are palpitating, we're being described in the car, the Secret Service agent says, well, we need to turn off the engine. So we're told to turn off the engine of the car and we need to hold because she was getting her supervisor, who I'm assuming is the head of the Secret Service team, to come out because he was going to have a conversation with us. So at this point, people are thinking we're going to end up in Martha's Vineyard jail. I'm going to be in an orange jumpsuit. This is going to be news. 4 stupid Canadians decided that they wanted to basically trespass down the road to get to the Obamas. We're silly. We're playing the word Canadian. We don't know any better. Again, we thought it was like driving by Drake's house. Okay, Prince, when he lived in Canada, lived in Bridle Path. You could actually just like drive down the road, wave to the house, jump out, take a picture, but not, we're silly. We're like, you know what, stupid people? This is a former president and first lady. Why did you think you could just drive down the road and jump out the car? Why? Because we weren't thinking. So after sitting there for 10 minutes with phone jams, descriptions of the car, being walked around the car, being blocked in, the head of the security team comes out, looks at us, literally laughs at us, and tells us, "Get out of here." And we promptly proceed to leave the road. And so, with all of that said, and the risk that I took, I did not meet Auntie Michelle and Uncle Barack. Auntie Michelle did not get my book, No Handouts for Black Girls. However, I have a hell of a story to tell, and here I am telling it. And when I told my mother the story, she laughed and said, "Oh, wow." I won't say it in patois because many of you won't understand it. But essentially, my mother said she would have been famous had I been arrested. Okay, had I been arrested, because she would have been on CNN. My mother was saying she would have been on CNN had I stupidly been arrested because I was trying to just go see Auntie Michelle. Listen, you're right. Okay, maybe I could have tried to mail it to Auntie Michelle, but what's the fun in that? Again, why did they put their Martha's Vineyard address on the internet if they didn't want me to go? Like, that's the way I look at it, right? Like, they wanted me to go. Like, the universe had conspired because I said, I really want to give Auntie Michelle this book. She's going to love it. She's on Martha's Vineyard. I'm on Martha's Vineyard. What are the chances that that would happen? So I said, universe, you're definitely trying to tell me something. And then when I Googled and found Auntie Michelle and Uncle Barack's address just readily available, I said, clearly, this is what was meant to be. But I was wrong. It was not meant to be. Secret Service, I'm sure, has my face everywhere. I don't know what list I'm on. I don't know if I can get on a flight. I'm trying to go to the US in a couple of weeks over Labor Day weekend. Can I get on the flight? I'm not sure. Okay. Listen, you might be right. Okay. It might be on the internet for fan mail. Okay. Maybe people don't think that they should just roll up. Okay. Maybe that's new. But I definitely thought that I could roll up. Me and my friends were definitely like, we should roll up. We should roll up because we want to see them. I had my book. This is the best part. Had they asked me, my book was in the bag, ready to go. My book was in the bag, ready to go. Should Auntie Michelle and Uncle, listen, I don't get in trouble, okay? I make ill-advised decisions like trying to go to a former president's home thinking that possibly, maybe I might meet them. Okay. I don't know what to tell you. Okay. So the best part is the next day, Auntie Michelle and Uncle Barack were at dinner at a restaurant. I think it might have been close by to where we were. So I just missed the chance again. So, anyways, I'm just telling you the story to say, do not attempt, if you're on Martha's Vineyard, okay, to go to Auntie Michelle and Uncle Barack's home. I would not advise it. I would say try not to do that. Do not go down the road that says no trespassing and private road because you want to say hello or give them a copy of your book. Listen, I'm all about the hustle. I'm out here, okay, writing books, doing the best thing. Listen, had Auntie Michelle got my book, she would have loved it, okay? For all I know, I could have been on Oprah's favorite things because Auntie Michelle shouted me out. I was trying to do a thing. I was trying to do a service to the world because this is a great book. It would have been wonderful. However, I almost got detained. So, yes, we don't need any more international incidents. I'm praying I can still cross the border because, again, all of the cameras, they were in my irises. They shut our phone down. I don't know what information they took off my phone because I'm sure they grabbed some because they shut it down. Okay. My phone was working. None of our phones were working because it was shut down. The signals were jammed. We weren't sending any messages. Anyhow, do not try to go down the private road if you're in Martha's Vineyard to go and find Auntie Michelle and Uncle Barack because they are former, as the former president and first lady. They're not Drake. They're not Drake Toshiba. Okay, they're not Drake. They're the former first lady and president. So listen, the security detail was incredible. At this point, I knew that there were probably snipers. Should we have tried to escape? For sure. Had we tried to try to drive off, which you couldn't. Like the road again it was not a paved road. It's again Jamaicans call it Hill and Gully Road. It was not a road that you could listen. No, Drake security can't jam cell phones. Okay, none of our phones were working. There were no calls coming in. There were no calls going out. There were no messages going out. None of it jammed. Okay, my irises were on screens. They did facial recognition. They probably knew my blood type. They knew when I came in. They knew when we were leaving. They knew when we were staying. But however, I think Auntie Michelle and Uncle Barack might know me at this point because I'm sure they said, here are some silly people who tried to come and say hello to you. So maybe mission accomplished. So that's my story. Do not, I repeat, if you're in Martha's Vineyard and you happen to find Auntie Michelle and Uncle Barack's on the internet, address on the internet where it is, because that's where I found it, do not attempt to get in your car and drive to their home. That's it. That is all. Thank you all for listening of my silly story. I appreciate you. They knew exactly who we were. That's why we couldn't lie. The facial recognition cameras absolutely knew who we were. When I say, listen, there were cameras everywhere. I could see them. It's one of those cameras, you can hear it. I'm looking at the cameras. I'm like, oh no, they know exactly who we were. So if we tried to give a fake name, to say we were from a different place, they knew we were from Toronto. They probably knew where my house is. They probably could have it rated while I was sitting there. So they just when they say that the head of security came out, looked at us, laughed, and said, "Get out of here." He was like, "You silly Canadians. If we arrest you right now, it's probably going to be an international incident. So we'll let you silly people." Exactly, exactly. The security was like, "She would just go home with your book, be ridiculous." But me and my friends now have the best Martha's Vineyard story. While other people are talking about meeting Lance Gross, okay, or seeing Dave Chappelle, I can talk about the fact that the Obama Secret Service detained us for 10 minutes and we were probably this close. Had we lied, we definitely would have been in big shit. So that's my story. So don't be like me, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Don't try to roll up on Auntie Michelle and Uncle Barack's house if you're ever in Martha's Vineyard. Not the thing to do. You will be detained. That's it. I love you all. If you're not following my show on YouTube, please go fuck your feelings the show. I've got a show in 5 minutes. I appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Thanks for listening to my story. Good night. Bye. The story of how I almost. Can I do the cover?